Today, I'm going to be replacing the battery on my 340i. I'm going to show you how to choose the right battery, how to install it in the car, and then also how to register it, which is something that you'll need to do on any modern BMW. This process will be similar on pretty much any modern BMW, but the part numbers and tool sizes might be slightly different. For the past month, my car's really been struggling to start up, so I took it to the local auto parts store to have the battery tested, and they confirmed that it did need to be replaced. So we go inside and they pull up on their computer a few different batteries that are supposed to be able to fit in this car, but when we actually walked over to the shelf and looked at them, the specs that are printed on the top of the battery actually didn't match the specs of the battery in this car. So you really have to be careful if you're gonna buy it from an auto parts store. So the battery that's installed in this car is a 90 amp hour, but the best ones that they had in the store were only 80 amp hours. And I checked AutoZone and O'Reilly's, and that was the case at both of those stores. So I thanked them for the help, but told them that I would rather look online instead, and a search of the part number on Google didn't return any results, and a deep dive on the forum revealed that the battery in this 2017 340i has been discontinued and replaced with a different part number. And I spent over an hour online looking at batteries and couldn't find anything where the specs matched perfectly, at least not that could be shipped to me. So I called my closest dealership, BMW of Rochester Hills, and it turned out that a genuine BMW battery for this car was only $276, so shout out to my friend M3 Beats for the suggestion. He just did his battery recently too. So all that to say, save yourself the time and frustration and just buy one from the dealership. It's really not that big of a savings to get one from the auto parts store, and you'll likely be settling for something with lesser specs than what's already installed in your car. The current BMW part number for the F30 battery is 61215 A40 E29. This battery is a Group 49 AGM battery with 92 amp hours and 850 cold cranking amps. Let's throw this in the car. F30s, like most modern BMWs, have the battery in the trunk on the right side. Remove the access cover and set it aside. Remove two 10mm screws to remove the retaining bracket. Loosen the 10mm nut to remove the negative battery cable from the terminal. Loosen the 10mm nut on the positive battery cable and move it aside. Detach the vent hose from the positive side of the battery. There's a 13mm screw at the base of the battery on the negative side. You may need a long extension to reach it. I put some masking tape on the negative battery terminal to help get it out of the way during removal and reinstallation. Alright, so with everything disconnected, we're ready to pull the battery out of the trunk. Now, just a word of warning with this, these batteries are extremely heavy, 53 pounds to be exact, and it's kind of in a tight, awkward place in the trunk where you don't really have a lot of leverage. So if you've got neck or back problems, you might want to have this done at a shop. So before we throw that new battery in, there's just a couple things that I want to show you in here. So first of all, this is that vent hose that I was talking about. That takes chemical gases from the battery and gets them outside of the car. So very important that you hook that back up. And then if you look down in the bottom there, that bent piece of sheet metal, that's going to hook onto the edge of the battery on the positive side, and then you're going to clamp it down with that 13mm that we took off earlier. So now we're going to put the new battery in with the positive terminal facing the front of the car. Secure the 13mm screw at the base of the battery and reinstall the retaining bracket. Reinstall the vent hose on the positive side of the battery. Install the positive, then the negative cables. The torque spec on the battery cables is 5 Newton meters, but I won't tell anyone if you just tighten them up by hand. Well, now that the fun part's over with, let's go ahead and register this new battery to the car. So if you're new to BMWs, these cars keep track of how old the battery is, and then it kind of adjusts the charging over time. So the older the battery gets, the more aggressively the car will charge it. That's why it's crucial to do this battery registration, because if you were to simply install that new battery without registering it, the car's actually going to overcharge it, and it's going to shorten the lifespan of the battery and could possibly cause some lights on the dashboard. So to do that, I'm going to walk you through this. I'm going to be using an app called Carly. You can also use another one called BeamerLink that will work as well. I will leave a link to this down in the description, but let's get right into it. Okay, so I've got my Carly adapter plugged into the car's OBD2 port, and I have the ignition turned on, but the engine is not running. You don't want your engine on for this, just the ignition. So I'm going to pull open the Carly app here. We're going to go to connect, and that'll just take a second to connect there. So now we can go in the lower right corner here where it says features, and we'll scroll down to the battery reset. Now, one little thing that I want to point out to you here is the battery that came with the car was a 90 amp hour, but the new battery is a 92 amp hour. Now, the parts guy at the BMW dealership said that I could just do register as the same battery because they're close enough. Now, if you were to get one that was like 80 amp hours, you would want to choose this option that says register new battery type, select the amp hours from the drop down and go from there. But since we're registering basically the same specs, we're going to do this register same battery. So we'll click on that. And then we're going to do this at the bottom that says read battery data now. And that's going to take a couple minutes to go through here. So we'll click OK. So then this screen is going to show you all the battery statistics of your previous battery. You can go down to the bottom here where it says register same battery and click that. And then it says battery registration was finished successfully. Please turn the ignition off and then on again. And we're good to go. So one last thing, if you're not driving your BMW every day, pick up one of these smart chargers. This keeps the battery topped off without overcharging it. Maybe you work from home, or maybe you've got another car that you drive in the wintertime. You want to have it plugged in when you're not driving it for multiple days. With car batteries, it's really bad if they drop below a certain charge threshold. It can actually cause permanent damage and really decrease the battery's lifespan. So definitely pick one of these up. I'll drop a link down in the description. They're not very expensive, and it's going to add a lot more service life to your battery. Now, the first year that I had this car, I didn't drive it all winter, and I did not have one of these. And I think that that's honestly what killed this battery early. It was only 5 years old when I'm replacing it now. And I feel like they usually last quite a bit longer than that. So I'm going to drop a link for this in the description. Pick one up if you don't already have one. But thanks for watching, guys. Give me a thumbs up if you enjoyed the video. Share this with someone that needs to replace their battery, and I'll see you guys in the next one.